Ladies and gentlemen, we just wanted to take a second to give a huge shout out to our biggest sponsor of this podcast, Supreme Nutrition, located in upstate South Carolina. Get to them with all your supplement needs. Great people, great family dynamic across the board. They're going to take care of you. They're going to be real with you. They're going to be upfront with you, and they're going to really help you accomplish your goals. We're extremely thankful that they pour into this podcast and pour into us and allow us here at the Carter Mentality to be able to be treated as not only family, but to achieve our goals also in fitness. Anytime that you visit them in store, use code Carter. That's code CARTER, and you will get money off your next purchase. Thank you. I mean, it'll work. All right, everybody, we're back. We're live. We got the guys from the Unmasked Fireman page. We got Dylan and Will. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up?
Come on. Been working on this for a little bit, trying to get these guys landed. We finally got it going. So, all right, let's take a few seconds. Start with you, Will. You can introduce yourself, talk a little bit about who you are, what got you in the fire service, all that. And then, Dylan, you can roll right in once he's done.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, like I said, my name's Will Maxwell. I work for county department out here about 30 minutes east of Atlanta. We're a pretty decent-sized department, fully full-time, 10 career stations, running about, I don't know, close to 10,000 calls a year, something like that. Nothing too crazy. Been in the fire service about a little over 6 years at this point. Just got moved to, our busiest station for about 4 years, a double company with a truck and a squad, and just got moved to a single company, engine company, about 4 or 5 shifts ago. Actually, I'm trying my best to get promoted at the time, so they went ahead and moved me to a new station and everything. So I'm getting adjusted to that and learning the new guys and everything, taking on a little bit different role. So, but yeah, I guess you could say what got me into the fire service. I kind of stumbled into it, really. I mean, a lot of guys are like, oh, always wanted to do this since I was a kid, or my dad was a fireman, my uncle was a fireman, or something like that. My dad was a cop or whatever. I kind of stumbled into it, really. I was working construction at the time, driving 2 hours one way to go to work, 5-6 days a week. And I had a young son who had just been born, and I was looking for a career change, something a little bit closer to home. And one of my wife's family friends suggested, like, hey, Newton County's, this other department over here is hiring. And you ever thought about putting in? And I was like, no, I mean, I thought about, like, as a kid, I thought the wildland firefighters were cool. You know, the smoke jumpers that jump out of airplanes and fight wildfires and all that. I was like, man, that would be a cool job, but I never really thought about structural firefighting. So I was like, you know what the heck, I'll put my name in, see what happens. So I ended up applying to a handful of departments and ended up getting a phone call back and went through the whole process, and here we are 6 years later. So that's kind of my story, how I got into it.
Nice. Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, man. So my name's Dylan, 26 years old, been in the fire service for 6 years and some change. Me and Maxwell actually went through recruit school together. We started at the same department together. I decided to go on my own endeavors elsewhere. I'm now about an hour north of him. What got me to the fire service, kind of the same deal, man. I'm a third generation fireman, but it wasn't until I just turned 19 or 18 years old, and I was at a dead end job at a gym, and I was just like, man, like, I was fresh dropout out of college, and decided I wanted to do something. One of my buddies joined up at the fire department, and I was like, shoot, man, I'll try that. You know, it's either that or I'll go into the military. So ended up applying, got on, and best job in the world ever since. So
Nice. So for all the viewers that don't know, they run the page on Instagram called the Unmasked Fireman. Very good product that is being pushed out. I say product because if you kind of look at today's society, a lot of things get leveraged as either business or product. And kind of doing a little bit of both. You know, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys got some merchandise that you sell and stuff like that, right? You got some
Yes, sir.
merchandise.
Yeah.
You guys are pumping some good posts related to what this job's about, what it represents, what it stands for. So let's talk a little bit about what was, one, the inspiration to start the page, and two, what got you to the point of when you started to realize this page was gaining traction. What was it to keep you going? Because I know for me, once my podcast really started gaining traction, I'm getting ready to hit like year number 3 of running this. When it started to gain some serious traction, I started to realize it became a true job, right? You know, I'm a full-time fireman. I do have a side job, and then I do this, and you know, I'm still dedicated to some sort of strong level of fitness in the athlete spectrum, whether it be CrossFit, whether it be running, ultras, marathons. So really it became a process of like, wow, I got a lot of balance, right? And it's really hard when you find that middle point, that middle sector of like, okay, this is hitting hot, or is it going to die off, right? So let's talk a little bit about what the inspiration was to start the page, and then two, like when you guys, like I said, when you started to crest and gain traction, like what was it that kept you on that solid path of traction?
Man, honestly, so what kind of started the page was, so we had been talking about it. We started talking about it probably about 2 years ago. Like, hey, like I think it'd be cool to start a page and whatnot. And some of our other buddies had started one, and we're like, dang man, like, you know, kind of want to speak our thoughts like on this thing, like kind of like kind of neat. So we got together, and we're like, one day I was sitting at my part time, and I hit up Maxwell Compton. I was like, man, like, what are we waiting for? Like, if we're gonna do this thing, let's do it. And obviously, when you start something like that, get into the whole social media thing, and we've said this on podcasts before. You know, obviously we knew there was things that would come with it. One of the big things, you know, being a target on your back. You know, the trash talk around the station, people talking their shit. That's just part of it. But
It
it
puts
wasn't.
it puts a
No,
larger target,
absolutely,
because
absolutely.
you sit there and you say, you put one thing, you know, you publish one piece of, let's just use the word, not that you guys are putting out propaganda, but let's just use what these people look at it as propaganda, right?
Right.
They say this is either good propaganda or this is bad propaganda. This is good for the fire service, this is bad for the fire service.
Right.
So let's take that guy that sits in the fucking middle, right? The guy that's like, well, I think what they're doing's good. They're young, they're hungry, they're energetic, they love the job, they're doing the right thing. But yeah, I don't really agree with this last post that they just made, right? So it grows the target. It grows the target slowly, and it grows it bigger, because you're like, all right, well, now I'm in twofold situation. I'm not trying to please Jimbo, who's got 22 years on the job, that's always just rode the couch for 22 years. But I'm also really not trying to please, because it's a strong middle basis of like, okay, between the two, there's 12 years, and then I've got people that look at my page that have got 30 years, you know, and it's like sometimes there's that imposter syndrome that kicks in of like, what am I telling the 30-year guy, right?
Yeah.
Because that guy's been to more fires than I could dream of, you know. But then you get the support from the 30-year guy, but you got the negativity from the 22-year couch rider. So it's easy to decipher the two. The hardship is the target that grows between your back on the middle ground people.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a big point, man. Is that was one of our biggest things starting out, was the main point was stay authentic. We're not necessarily here for the 30-year guy. We're not necessarily here for the 2-year guy. We're not here for the guy that's same experience we are. The main thing is just speaking our thoughts, staying authentic to what we think, and how do we view that 30-year guy? What do we expect out of that 30-year guy? What do we think he should be doing? What did we learn as a 2-year fireman? What do we know now that, you know, we didn't know then that we can pass on? You know, I'm not here to please anyone. We're not posting rage bait. We're not doing anything like that. it's straight up our thoughts, man. And
Yeah.
obviously you got your trolls and everything else, and that's just thanks for the comment, I guess. But
Exactly. I
so
mean,
It really,
authenticity is, it's staying
you're not
authentic.
going to be able to. You're not going to be able to please everybody with what you have to say. And like I said, we're just trying to, from the workouts to the posts to whatever it is, we try to just be, like I said, authentic as we can be with it. And if along the way somebody picks up something from what we said and they like it and it helps them out in some kind of way, then that's great. I mean, if somebody else reads it and they're like, oh, these guys are a bunch of idiots, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, well, you're entitled to your opinion just like everybody else is. That was our opinion from what we said. You either like it or you don't. And
Exactly.
hopefully along the way we can help somebody or let somebody know that, hey, you ain't the only one in your department or your location that feels the way you do. There's other guys out here that are still hungry about the job, still love the job, still trying to get better. And you're not in this thing alone.
So that's a great point. There's guys in where I work that have literally just like straight up tried to dog me to my face about what I do. And I'm just like, I really don't give a fuck, because the people that turn around that work in the same organization as me that turn around and they say, hey man, I listen to your podcast. It was really deep, really helped me. Like, I kind of work through some shit whenever I listen to it. I'm like,
and that's who it's for, man. That's exactly who it's for, bro.
Yeah, that makes it worth it.
Exactly. Podcasting is that aura of like, I don't know. It's weird because I always tell people, when people ask me on here, they say, did you ever think that you could reach as many people as you have? And I said, I never thought that. I said, but I never thought that I could inspire the amount of people that I have that have openly messaged me and said the things that they have said, both good and bad. Because I look at it this way, is maybe I'm the psychopath, but I think it's inspiration either way. If I inspired you enough to get on your fucking phone to tell me that you hated what you listened to, well, I mean, I've occupied 5 minutes of your day that you're never going to get back. And I love it.
Yeah.
I occupy the guy's life I occupy the guy's life who, for the next 15 years is going to remember something or could shape his life or could change, and took the guy that had the fucked up mindset and turned around and changed it. And he's like, wow, okay, here we go. And here lately, I'll be transparent. Here lately, I've started recording and interviewing more firemen. For the longest time, this honestly had nothing. I wanted nothing to do with fire service with this podcast. But I started to realize that this podcast had a athletic based mindset, because a lot of it, the whole process of this came from me while I was on a long run prepping for a marathon. I was like, man, I need to fucking start a podcast. Like, I need to start getting some shit out there. Like, I'm not saying what I believe is factual, or excuse me, what I believe is the gospel, but like, I feel like we as people, I'm a strong believer in Christ. Like, I feel like Christ puts us in situations where we have to disciple to people in different ways.
Absolutely.
It's not just Bible down their throat. It's like, hey man, like, what's with your fucking mindset? Like, why can't you unfuck what's going on with you? And so it started, and I had nothing. I wanted nothing to do with fire service. But then as I started slowly, goes. Sorry, my HomePod, my Apple HomePod decided to just start playing Miley Cyrus in the middle of this.
I love it, man. We can have it.
It's the Chinese
background music.
But so I never knew that I would get into the sector of interviewing firemen. But like I was trying to get at before Miley Cyrus decided to play, that I realized that there's a massive correlation, because I started looking after 10 years. I unlocked this thought. I stopped looking as firemen as a job, and I started looking as firemen as blue collar athletes.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
we really are. Like, there's a level of expectation and standard from firemen to be fit, to not be fat pieces of shit, to be able to respond and act and accordingly act to help the citizens of their community, right? Well, you can't do it by eating a box of Krispy Kreme donuts in the morning for breakfast. It's not possible. Because
Maxwell can.
I about to say, don't call me out like that. That's what I had for breakfast this morning.
you know, I live in the life of moderation. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna not turn away from a donut, but
For sure.
I can't eat 12 of them. You know, because I would just be like, wow, I hate my life. But you look at like some of the highest level athletes, like, and I love the donut analogy. I always use it. The highest level athletes in the world, do they eat donuts? Yes, they do. They're not going to sit here and tell you that they don't.
Absolutely.
But they're going to go get their training session in. They're going to go get their strength in. They're going to go get their speed work in, X, Y, and Z, whatever they got to do before they eat that donut. And I think firemen are the same way. Why, when we come in, do we find, I feel like we live in a fire service now where people work harder to figure out how not to work out or not to do some sort of training or not to better themselves because it's not attractive.
Yeah. It can definitely, you can put in way more effort trying to figure out a good excuse to get out of doing the right thing than actually doing the right thing and getting out there and training, getting out there and lifting, running, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I think we're all guilty of that to some degree or another. We don't feel like it that day, or you had a rough night before. Like, I feel for Brown. He's running off of about 20 minutes of sleep right now. Like, today would be a great day for him to be like, yeah, I can use this as an excuse. I'm not feeling it today. But that's where the consistency and the discipline and the dedication comes in, to be able to say, no, yeah, I had a rough night, but I'm still going to get out here and do something today. I'm going to do something to get a little bit better. Now, even if it's the smallest thing, even if it's just getting out of your recliner and going for a walk for a little while, if that's all you can have the strength to muster that day, hey, you've done something productive today. That's kind of where, like, the whole fitness thing came for me. Like, even in my personal life, was even if my entire day has gone to crap regardless, if I can still get a lift in or still get a gear workout in or still go run or something that day, one thing has been productive, even if nothing else was.
My wife makes the joke. She says, I really wish that you would believe in rest days. And I'm just like, well, why? You know, because I believe in constantly being on the go. I do. And when I say on the go, it's not like you have to constantly be working in some aspect, but it's bettering yourself in one way or another, you know? And I think it really does. It's wild to me that I live by the statement of half the battle start in the battle, right? Half these dudes in the fire service could easily overcome their fear, their intimidation, whatever the fuck it is, of working out, training to be better. I think a lot of the training side of things is because guys are probably the most honest with themselves in that situation, that they're like, I don't have the competency. So I really don't want to show that off, because if I show that incompetency, I'm going to be more embarrassed. But it's the complete opposite. I would rather see your incompetency in a training scenario and say, hey, man, let's work on this, than rather see your incompetency on the fire ground whenever I got fire blown out of 3 windows and mama's trapped in the far back bedroom and you can't force the fucking door. Like, that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I know we've talked about a couple times, is the approach that, so like if I'm backtracking to these 30-year guys, right? So you got a seasoned guy, you got a new guy coming in, and he starts screwing up on the training ground. Maybe he's not as in shape as you or whatever it may be, and you're just sitting there railing this dude, bro. Like, what good is that? What good is that doing for him, man? Like if I'm on the training ground and somebody's screwing up, that's, like you said, that's when I want you to screw up. You suck at a workout, you're not in shape, that's okay. I want to see that. I don't want you to be scared to get out there with me. Because if you're not getting out there doing anything with me, how are you bettering yourself? Same with training and everything else. So, are you scared you're going to fuck up throwing a ladder? Well, how the hell are we going to get better at it if we ain't throwing the ladders? And so I feel like it's the approach by a lot of people nowadays, because majority of firemen are ego driven, type A personalities, which I hate saying that because I feel like from what it used to be, at least in my experience, it's gotten a lot better, even with myself. I mean, the way I used to be. And I feel like that culture is starting to slowly change where, we're kind of picking each other up a little bit rather than always tearing them down. Now, some dudes, they need to be torn down, bro. Like, it's just, I mean, some people you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Sometimes a dude just needs, sometimes they just need it, man. Like, and I'm the type of person, like, dude, if you are a 20 or 30-year guy, if I think you're being a piece of shit, I'm going to call you out on it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, what good am I doing for the other guys, especially the younger guys? And it's not like we're some seasoned vets or anything, but if they're scared to come to you for training, then who are they looking at next? They're looking at me. So I feel like now that's my responsibility. If I don't take care of that problem, I can't fix his problem.
I would 100% agree with that. I want to go back to Will's point real quick of saying everything, just doing something daily to better himself. It's kind of funny you brought that up because I was laying in bed this morning, just woke up, was, doing my social media scroll, right before I got out of the bed. And there's a guy that runs a page on Instagram. It's called Operational Fitness. And this dude is a pretty cool guy. And he said, why are we as a fitness community not looking at microdosing fitness daily as something that could implement a schedule change? And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? So it immediately caught my attention, right? Quick clickbait. So I watched this video, and this guy's talking about, he was like 2 to 4 minutes a day with a weight that you have. If you know you're not going to have time, 2 to 4 minutes a day of something during a break can make up for what you would miss if you never did anything.
Something better than nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wish I would have seen that earlier, because I'm going to say, I think the house that I'm at now, it's a great house to be. I'm with some really good people. In a lot of my mindset, a lot of my approach and mentality, I'll use that, has kind of rubbed off. A lot of people are prioritizing the fitness aspect. They're constantly wanting to train, and it really helps too, because my lieutenant does, he's a big CrossFit guy. He's big on training. So it really helps supplement when it comes from two people. And we try at least daily to do something on a workout related basis. And this past tour, we went out and we did some PT, and then we came back, and I was like, do we need to get like some sort of a weighted workout in? But I wasn't motivated. I could give two. Honestly, I was at the stance where it was so hot, I was like, I could give two shits if we do anything or not. But I knew that was the wrong mindset to have, right? So I was like, all right, what about like a 15-minute burner? And they were like, 15 minutes, really? And I'm like, okay, what about 25? And they're like, really? I'm like, Jesus Christ, what about 30? Like, how far are we going to go? But after it happened, I was very thankful. I was happy it paid off and all that. So, yeah, I mean, you guys are making some really strong points on that. And I think we have a due diligence. As you guys running that page, and me and the platform that I am, we have a due diligence to essentially the citizens, that we did swore to protect. But I think the people that look, let's take your guys' page, the people that look up to your page that are like, man, these guys are really pumping out some good shit. You guys have an expectation to those people to continue to make sure they're getting the right message. And that's a heavy weight to carry, right? Because it takes 1 second, right? As we all know, it takes 1 second to ruin your entire reputation forever.
Yep.
And it's hard. So let's talk a little bit about when it comes to the post side of things, because as you can probably tell in the first 23 minutes of this podcast, it's edgy. We're not scared to say it, right? We're gonna say it. So when it comes to you guys, in your sense, I think it's funny because I constantly make the joke. I think fire department pages can say whatever the fuck they want to on Instagram because Instagram has no idea how to censor those because they're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Throwing ladders and forcing doors. What does that mean? You know? So they're just like, whatever, let it ride. But when it comes to the posting aspect, like, how do you guys control the controllables of proper delivery, reaching the message, stuff like that? But also not be scared. Kind of not what we talked about before, but kind of pushing forward of like not being scared to say what needs to say with understanding of how broad your audience is.
I feel like it kind of took time to get to where we are now. And I mean what, another month we'll mark 1 year since we started. But it was funny when we first started, like I felt like we were kind of like not necessarily scared, but like shit, like hope this doesn't piss somebody off too bad. Like, we're still getting kind of used to having that target on our back. Like, oh man, like what are the guys in the station going to think about? And as you go, man, like you just gotta. It got to the point where it's like, dude, like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this damn thing, and I'm gonna say it how I want to say it, and it's short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah. Well, what about you?
I mean, a lot of it comes back to, for me, is just being authentic and being honest with real thoughts about stuff. I mean, it's not sitting here trying to just make up something that sounds cool because it's the hot topic at the time or whatever. Just say something that's actually we've experienced or seen in real life, or a situation we've been in that's like we've dealt with somebody else that maybe it went positive, maybe it didn't go, and that kind of comes back to like the workout videos that we've posted a lot of times. There's a reason we post a large chunk of that workout and show you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly of it because we want it to be authentic. That way it's showing that we're not just making something up or just posting a highlight reel to try to make it look good. Like, I believe there's something big that comes from being an honest and authentic person out here on social media in a world full of people just trying to get likes and follows for the heck of it and for their own glory and not actually out there 100% putting in the work. If I fail at something, I'm going to show you that I have and show you the growth that comes from it. If we're going to make a post about something that's a little bit on the, all right, maybe that might hurt somebody's feelings. Well, the reason it might hurt somebody's feelings is probably because it's the truth. Hold on one sec. Yeah. Sorry, I got a cat that keeps running up here meowing like crazy. But if what was I saying? Oh, one thing I've kind of realized with stuff with posts we've made or dealing with people in general is if you're speaking the truth and it makes somebody mad, then you're not in the wrong. If the truth upsets you, then you probably need to take a look at yourself and realize why is the truth upsetting you? Because probably there's something that needs to be changed to where you're adhering to what's actually the right thing to do. And I'm not saying everything that I say is correct because it's not. I'm still learning a whole lot of stuff, but that kind of is what comes back to for me as far as the posts and stuff like that, is just being authentic and honest about stuff.
Let's talk about authenticity for a second because that's a huge topic when it comes to both social media and podcasting. When I started this, I had to have some really, really uncomfortably hard conversations with myself of like what you put out there. There could be people that have follow-ups. There could be people that ask deeper questions. You can't be scared to dabble into those conversations. I love very deep conversation. I thrive in it. I love it. And so it was really difficult. So when it came to being authentic, man, like that's a two-way street because we go back to talking about imposter syndrome for a second, and then we talk about authenticity. And I don't know for you guys, but I knew for me personally, the more authentic I was, the more of an imposter I felt like. Sure. Because I was just like, how much more real do you want me to be? And there's people that are like, dude, there's no way. Like, you went through that shit growing up, like, or you're dealing with that, or you were that depressed, or you went through the shit you went. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Like, I'm not talking about it to talk about it. And so authenticity is a hard thing. So Dylan, let me ask, to piggyback off of Will's point about authenticity for you guys. What are some of the struggles for authenticity that you find? Because I'm a firm believer, Will, you said it, about failing. I think if you look at today's generation is built to succeed, not fail. The human brain nowadays is only looking at how to the easiest path, the path of least resistance, to now make it to where they need to make it.
Right.
I was raised by a father who's now on his 32nd year as a fireman, was in the military. So I was raised to fail. Like, my parents were like, this is how you fail. And when you fail, we're going to be right here and we're going to let you know, all right, no big deal. Embrace that shit. Like, love it. Learn how to overcome it and move forward. And it's going to make you better. So Dylan, when it comes to authenticity, like, what are some of the real big hardships? And then Will, I want to hear your point that you guys have faced that really transcended a shitload of growth for you guys.
Mine's like, what the hardships of like it? I guess, are you talking about like a struggle with it? Like
some of the things that, like, I guess you two together, if you want to get on it in like a private setting, you guys were like, man, like, we're here, we need to be here, but we can't get past this right here. We keep running into this wall and it keeps failing us, but we can't figure out how to get around it. And it could be age related or personal.
Right. And I think for me personally, and that's why, like I say, man, like, I'll take this page to the grave, man, because it's helped me grow as far as being more real and authentic with myself, as far as, being my true self. So like, I was always scared of like if we posted something where like, I didn't do the McGee in a certain amount of time, or, when I make this statement, like, this is just what I think, I hope I don't piss anybody off. I hope I don't upset anybody, like, I think that was my biggest thing, was like, I was always worried about what everybody else thought. And it took me a while to sit down, like you said, have that conversation with myself and figure out, like, look, man, like, just be you and say what you want to say. Be prepared for those conversations. Stop being a bitch. And me personally, I feel like when we got away from that, about worrying about what everybody else thought, that's when it started to skyrocket. So I think being like truly authentic is the key to that success.
And it's pretty cool because you guys are probably number 5 or 6 on the list. But it was wild. Out of the 5 or 6, you guys are the third to answer so quickly. I did my boy Logan Broberg that runs Rogue Firemanship. I interviewed him. Fucking stud. Has turned into a legitimate friendship now. Me and my wife are actually going down to Kissimmee for our honeymoon. We just got married 2 months ago. So we'll be heading down to like the Florida area for our honeymoon to board a ship. And I was like, hey dude, let's get dinner while I'm down there. He was like, I'm totally down. And I'm gonna kind of weasel my way into a little bit of a suffering session with him.
That dude's a beast, man.
Dude, he is a beast. He's a beast. And it's actually I'll tell you how small the world is. It's pretty crazy. He was also in Georgia Smoke Diver School with one of my best friends, Nick Gilchrist. And they went through Smoke Diver together and all that. So I got him on, and we talked about a lot of things about the fitness aspect of things, so it was pretty cool there. And I won't put his name out there because I don't know if he likes it, but the guy who runs Working Fire Company, we've had some big conversations about moving forward, about having him on here as well. So I think a lot of it, you know, I want to dive into the social media aspect of the fire service. I think it's a very sore subject. And I think you guys can agree with the fact of it's attracted to the young. The old hate it.
Yep.
Me, as getting ready to be a 12-year, so 11-year guy right now for myself, if social media is still new, it is. Even though I've had it around for probably the last 8 to 10 years, I get it. But, 8 to 10 years ago, like you couldn't go to a social media platform, look up a page, and they give you a step-by-step instructional of like this new fancy way that they figured out how to overcome going through the lock, right? So it was really new. A really good buddy of mine and one of the biggest mentors to me in the fire service loves social media, but he's like a hawk and really holds people to the standard of making sure they're pumping out the right shit, right? And he's like one of them, like huge support, like supports the shit out of me, but thinks what this is, like thinks this is wild. He thinks it's insane. Like he thinks the object of podcasting and having other firemen on here and talking to other firemen and like the networking aspect, he's like, dude, that's insane. He's like, you just fucking hit these dudes up and you're just like, let's get after it. And I'm like, pretty much. He's like, what the fuck? Who does that? And I'm like, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like, if you don't go after them, they're never going to come after you. You know? Right. And so let's talk a little bit more on, I want to hear both of your points on the topic of social media in the fire service. Starting with you, Bill.
All right. I mean, I think social media as a whole, like fire service just in general, it's a tool. Like if we look at it the right way, it's a fantastic tool for one, connecting like-minded people, and a great training tool, great motivational tool if it's used in the right context. But like everything, it's a two-edged sword. Like it can help so much and in so many ways. I mean, perfect example, like this right here, us sitting here talking. This is a perfect example of a benefit of social media.
Yeah,
but at the same
unpack the topic that you just said. Going back, you said that it can go two ways.
Yeah,
pretty much what you were saying. Unpack what you mean for that for the people that are listening, because that is that's
sure.
deep. It could be the right thing or the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like anything. I mean, it's if you go into it with good intentions, it can be a great benefit for sharing new ideas of training, or sharing new fitness ideas, or reaching even if you're not the one necessarily sharing something, if you're trying to learn stuff, trying to find out new information, it connects you with so many experienced people out there that you can just at the click of a button sit there and send them a message, a DM, comment on a post of, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And 99% of the time, those people who are posting good content, they're going to come back to you with something positive of, hey man, yeah, this is a better explanation of how we did this technique with this hose lay or through this ladder, or hey, this is a little better explanation of how you do this part of a workout or that. But at the same time, on the other side of that spectrum, it can be very detrimental to people if it's used. It can either be used for a tool for good or a tool for bad. And if it's used for a tool for bad, it can be extremely hurtful, extremely detrimental to people, because you might be on your personal page and you're like, hey, I've been seeing all these guys out here posting, doing the McGee or doing the Murph or doing some other gear workout. I want to be like that. I want to post a workout. You go out there and you put it out there, throw it out there for the world to see. And that's really what you're doing when you put something on social media. You're putting it out there for anybody and their brother to see. And and it's open to anybody's interpretation.
You're correct.
So, and if they interpret it, they are going to interpret it however they want to. And all it takes is one negative comment, one mean DM on that thing, and right there, social media has been used for a bad tool towards you and has harmed your motivation, harmed your discipline to get out there and do it. Because you're like, well, crap, like I stepped out on a limb here to post this, and now Joe Blow from Walla Walla, Washington Fire Department, whatever, is sitting here telling me I'm a lazy piece of shit about it. Well, no, he watched 30 seconds of your life and doesn't understand the full story and is making a comment on that. So it's like, it can be used for fantastic things, but at the same time, you kind of have to build up a thick skin with the negative that comes in from it, because you're going to get the negative regardless. I mean, you put yourself out there for the world to see. There's going to be people that don't like it. There's going to be people that judge you the moment they see you, and that's even in real life. I mean, you can walk up to somebody in Walmart, get judged based upon, oh, you're wearing camouflage Crocs. I don't like camouflage Crocs. You must be like this other person that I saw wear them I didn't like. It's no different than that on social media. People see a small snippet of something and make a quick judgment call on it, and can be quick to. It's easy to sit there and make a mean comment and hit send, and then that person never has to actually look face to face with who they just said that mean thing to.
Again.
So, yeah, they don't have to look at them again. They post it. All right, I'm done. I feel better about myself. And now the person who received that message is going to go back and look at that over and over again, because that could be the thing that makes or breaks their fitness journey at that time, because they're stepping out there on the limb to post something, trying to get a little bit of support, and they're getting shot down for it. Maybe does that kind of unpack it enough?
Yeah, that's good. That was really deep. That was really good. Dylan, take it from there. Keep going.
I don't really know how to take it from there, but I'll try. You hit a lot of the points, Mike. I think it's a blessing and a curse. I go off a lot of personal experiences for everything, and I mean, for one, I mean, you got networking, obviously, like we're doing right now. I know I've made a ton of friends from around the country, around the world, really, man. And like the things I've learned, and like getting other people's takes on things, their opinions, whether it's just advice or tactics and strategies from somewhere else, man. I mean, that's like, if you were only to stay training in your own department, how much can you really learn? Are you venturing out and learning something else? I kind of look at social media as the same way. So it can be very beneficial, I think, to the right audience. So you have your disgruntled people that, like we were talking about earlier, typically it is the older guys, which, I mean, hey, man, I hate change too, so I get it. But I think you need to stay open-minded, and it puts you around the right people. When you find those people, you can kind of build that inner circle, and you can do a lot with it, man. But I don't know, Max, you pretty much said everything about it, so you pretty much hit the nail on the head. So
I mean,
you guys both made some good points. I like to comment a lot of the comments that you said, Will, but I also really like what you said, Dylan, about blessing and a curse. Going back to comments on, everything, I feel like, a lot of people, it's so funny because like outside family members looking in, like they see, just for me personally, they see what I do, because I started a podcast page on Instagram, and quickly just realized that that's stupid. I've got a pretty decent following on my own page. Let me just pump it out. I mean, it's me. It's my face. You see what it is. I'm just pumping out on my regular page, right? And so obviously a lot of friends that I had throughout the country, Fireman, bust balls and stuff like that. They love what's getting pumped out. You know, they'll send me texts about like, wow, man, could you stutter anymore whenever you were trying to explain the fucking point? Like, you know, just funny things like that. But then when the negative comments come, like the people that have, you know, I haven't yet experienced, and I think this is where I was kind of smart, is like, I haven't had a lot of people comment negative things on my personal page. Which is it's pretty wild because I'm like, man, if you got the balls to private message me, just put the comment. Just put the comment. Like I'm not gonna fuck your family, you know? I'm just gonna be like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry you feel like that. But I think there is a strong line because, you know, there's a strong line between the ball busting aspect of it, of like, wow, you're so gay, you run a podcast. Yeah, I know, thanks, man, appreciate it. But anyway, if you want to go like and follow it, this is where it is. And then there's like, wow, you have the audacity to talk about what you're talking about. And I've noticed, and I think you guys can agree with this, I've noticed that 90% of it is the older population, you know, and it's the ones who they don't, like you said, well, they don't understand the 30-second snippet of your life. Like, I can't post an 8-hour video of my life for people to, one, who the fuck's going to sit there and watch it? And two, for somebody to be like, for the one person that doesn't understand it, I post an 8-hour video and they're just like, oh, wow, that's what he does. It makes sense now.
Yeah. You post this little, like I said, a little 30-second snippet of your life or your day on social media, and you don't see, like you said, the other 24, the rest of the 24 hours that you're living that day. They don't see that, all right, yeah, I'm struggling during this workout while I'm at the station. I just got off a entrapment record, just got off of a fire. An hour before that, I'm also running off of 2 hours worth of sleep because the night before a newborn baby was keeping me up all night, or the dog was up barking all night, or I had a busted water pipe at the house. So I'm running off a little bit of sleep. I've already been tired. And now I'm doing this workout for the whole world to see, and I'm struggling. And the people are, and this, I believe this isn't just social media. I believe this is like just society in general. People are very, very quick to judge off of so little information about somebody because they want to. It's so easy. And I think a lot of this derives from, and I might be going down a rabbit hole here. I think a lot of this derives from people feeling insecure, bad about something within themselves. And it's easier to put somebody else down and make somebody else feel bad when you don't understand what's going on in their life versus to take a look in the mirror and to fix whatever's going on with yourself. So that is amplified on social media because you sit there and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll, and it's like, oh, well, I don't like what he's doing. I'm gonna make a comment real quick. Boom, it's out there, and he may have had to leave. I just noticed he ain't there. But they sit there and, oh, I don't like what he's doing. He sucked in this workout. Oh, you suck. Post it out there, and then it makes them feel a little bit better about themselves. Well, like I said, they don't see the whole rest of the day and all the factors that led into that one little snippet that they see. So, I mean, it takes nothing to do something positive for somebody versus throwing out the negative.
100%. And I think when it comes to tearing people down, that's a massive problem. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Hey, you there? Uh-oh. There we go. Maybe.
It said the recording stopped. Did it stop?
No.
Okay, good deal. Sorry. I was about to piss my pants, bro.
No, you're good. You're good. So when it comes to tearing people down, man, like if you look at a lot of what the world's sitting in right now, Will, like we were just saying, I like to use the analogy of political and leadership, right? So on the political aspect, you got the right and you got the left. Well, you also got the radical right and you got the radical left, right? You know, the ones on the radical left, the liberals, the ones that are all about pronouns and fucking tie-dye color in their hair and running around with rabbit tails hanging off their ass cheeks. Those are the ones that literally just immediately start tearing people down. I mean, they start tearing people down around them, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you know, and you sit here, like the three of us try to sit here and we have a conversation with one of them, and then immediately, like, they get defensive, they get enraged, all that. And it's like, what's going on with you personally? And I think it's the same with leadership. The worst leaders in the world are the first ones to immediately just dog that person. They fail. Like, that leader falls short, and the first person that's sitting right next to him is that fucking dude's fault. And he's like, it's like the post that I saw this morning, the meme, and I shared it all around to my friends. It was like, President Trump, we have bombed Iran, me. And it's the sure about that guy. And he's like, I didn't do fucking shit. And but that's like what it is. Like, with bad leaders, he's like, it's this guy's fault. This guy's like, I didn't fucking do anything. Like, I was just here. You know? And so I think the biggest problem right now, and it's true, it's very true. Like, a lot of people back in the Bay talks about it all the time. Everyone, you guys talk about it. Every single page on Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook talk about it. It's tearing people down and building people up. Like, there is a true method to how you tear people down in a good way, and you build them back up in a good way. You know, like, I got a guy that's in my house. He's a younger guy. He doesn't. This is only his second fire department job, and he's very young. He's already got a family, wife, and a kid. Very young, and he doesn't have a lot of life experience yet. So he's learning, like, literally every day that he goes through something, it's a new learning moment, like anybody. But I think it kind of hits him on a deeper level. And so sometimes, like, there's times where I am, like, pretty hard on him, and I don't think he fully processes, like, why. And I sometimes have to sit down and explain to him, like, hey, man, like, I'm being hard on you because, one, the world's not easy. And two, the moral standard that I train you to be at as a fireman completely translates into the moral standard of how to be a man and a father.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
And when I think he's now, like, in the last couple months, he started to let that click. And that started to click in his brain. And now it's more of a, hey, I fell short here. How do I overcome it? And it's a simple conversation. Like, before, it was like, hey, man, like, dude, I'm not shitting on you. I'm just trying to let you know, like, don't fucking do that. Don't have something. It's either 100% or 0%. There's no such thing as 75 or 50.
Yeah.
And it's a massive pandemic that we are facing in the fire service right now, is the lack of ability, the lack of leadership. Retention is ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
There's a guy that's around our area that runs a page, and I really didn't agree with what he said the other day. He made a post about recruitment for a fire department. They had 1,200 something applicants. I'm sure you guys may have seen about that. I think it was somewhere in Texas. This department had like 1,200 applicants, and they had this huge testing process. All right, so nothing new. But he took this and he spun it on, like, don't let people tell you that fire department testing standards are low and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, and apparently it was like the highest that this fire department's ever had. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Because I started to comment like, hey, like, I agree with you. I hate the comment of, we have no one knocking down the door. We have no one, you know, look at the stack of applications and you find me 3 good go-getters and I'll hire them. And I hate to say this, I used to, for the longest time, thought, like, yeah, if they're not a fucking fireman, don't hire them. As I matured and as I grew and as I started to look at the 10,000 foot view of my career and everything, well, at 18 years old, I was young, dumb, full of cum, and was just ready to, like, you told me, hey, brother, you'll fucking solve cancer. I would have looked at you and been like, yeah, I'm going to. And zero. I mean, I did not have enough humility to me personally, like looking back on it now, I'm so glad that they gave me a shot at 18 years old. But I didn't fucking deserve it.
I think that's a good conversation to have because I know we made a post about that the other day, and I mean, I'll die on this hill. It's I'd rather have two savages on a truck than four seat fillers. But at what point are you a seat filler in your career? Because on day one, obviously you're a damn seat filler, right? So at what point do you become that savage, or where should you meet that standard at that point? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like what you just said, it got me thinking about it, and I was like, okay, well, obviously some new guys, you know, I'm not going to expect them to be some rock stars on day one, right? So at what point do they become those killers?
So I saw a picture there, and it really made me think about something. It was wild. It was kind of eye opening. Like really, it was like, wow. It took me fucking 10 years to realize this one. So you got a split in the road, right? In the middle of the road is the same amount of pay that we all get at the end of the day every 2 weeks. And to the left is being a go-getter, and to the right is being a mediocre, what I call mediocre, just enough to get by kind of fireman. But at the end of the day, we both get paid the same, right?
Right.
So I sat there and I got into this conversation with the guys at work about it, and I was like, passion at the end of the day is what the answer is, right?
I agree.
It's the passion, because you can take a guy who comes in the door and you can kind of fucking read him for like the quick 2 hours that he's there, and you're like, this dude's here for the insurance policy. We got the best in the fucking state. That's why he's here. You know, and so to answer your question, I'm sorry, it's a lot to unpack there, because you really did kind of hit me with some deep things. I didn't think we were going to take it to that direction of something that I've been thinking about for the last 3 days now. So way to just read my brain, Dylan. But I think it's passion, and I also say too is a certain level of pride, right? You two are very, from the short conversation we've had prior and now, you guys can jam up. Like, you guys are really jam up dudes. Like, you've got the right vision, you've got the right mindset, you got the right instillment. But this is where pride comes. Like, if we were in the gym, you guys might be savages, but you motherfuckers aren't going to outwork me. Neither one of you are going to be able to outwork me. Like, I will go and go and go until I die. I will, if we got on the treadmill and you're like, all right, first one to get off loses, I'm going to die on that treadmill.
And see that takes it back to that inner circle, man. Why I'm glad we're sitting here talking about that, because I promise you, Maxwell would say that exact same thing. I promise you, I'd say that exact same thing.
Yeah. You can't. It's pride. It's passion and it's pride. Like, but I think what's the difference of how do you recognize a seat filler is when you say that to somebody, the right-minded people, they're going to shake your hand and they're going to be like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, thank you for standing up and being what this job deserved. The seat filler is probably going to go to the battalion chief and be like, this guy was really mean to me, and I don't know why, because I didn't say anything to him.
This guy's psycho. He's out there doing workouts in 100-degree weather.
Yeah. You know,
and that's what I wanted to hear, man. It was, what are you doing if it is your first day? I think you can be a savage your first day. You know, well, obviously, you know, depending on your department and everything, we know a little bit about some guys while they're in recruit school before they come here. You know, we've stalked their Facebook, you know, before they come over here, you know, blah, blah. But what are you doing throughout that first shift? Because I promise you, like you said, within those 2 hours, I'm be like, I got a savage in the back of the truck. Or no, I got a seat filler in the back of the truck. Is he willing, or is he just a seat filler that shows potential that he can become the savage? You know what I mean? It depends on what you're doing with it.
You know,
yeah, because there are those people that they're in that in between. Which I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
It's kind of in that in between stage of maybe they're a little unsure of themselves right now, but they have the work. They have the work ethic that shows the potential that, I think 100% it's the passion, like you were saying, the passion, not even necessarily on day one, maybe not necessarily the passion for the job, the passion for the culture, or what it means to be a fireman at that time. Maybe it's just the passion to be better, the passion to the desire to be the best that you can be as a somebody looking at a new guy with that potential. That is the person that you can say, all right, I can start now. I can start training you, and every time that I give you a little bit of something, you're going to take it and you're going to add it to add it to that add it to the library of information in your head of going forward. And they're going to get, you can give them stuff to build upon at that point, and they're going to take it and build that foundation to be able to grow into that savage that he's talking about, to be able to grow into someone who has the passion for the culture, for the job, into the guys. But you gotta, from day one, you have to have that, the teachability, the work ethic, and the right attitude to be able to be taught those things and use them going forward. Maybe I don't know if that kind of answers the question or if that kind of goes off on a tangent.
Oh, I mean,
I got that tendency going off.
It's true, because I'll follow up and say, for me, one of my biggest struggles, I say struggle because it's been consistently highlighted as a struggle. To me, I think it's separating the weak from the strong will. When it comes to like delivery and stuff like that, like I'm very blunt, and I've had to have some conversations with some higher up officials before of like, hey man, what you're saying is 100% right. Like the information you teach, what you teach these guys, what you pour into these guys, the mentorship, all that, like you're fucking dead on. We can't argue that. But like they don't really like how you come off with it. And to me personally, you know what that says to me? I hate to say it this way. To me, that shows a weak person. That's just weakness. Like that's a person who's weak, not comfortable in themselves, not strong enough in themselves, not fully reached the capacity of an adult. I don't know what it is, but at some point in time, it's weakness to me. Now, I will also say this too. I'll challenge my own self in a hypocrisy mindset of this is like, there has also been times where my wife will flat out say, and friends of mine, like, dude, you're being like a total dick. Like, hold on a second. Like, you know, I know what you're saying, but you're being a total dick saying it. And so I've had to take the second. So what I've worked on here lately, what I've really tried to push myself to lately is keep the bluntness, but put this like softer delivery of like, hey man, look, what I'm about to say is going to be hard. You know, that way it gives you like the preparation of like, all right, well, I'm either about to get my ass chewed or I'm about to get the real truth here. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to chew your ass because that's what I can't fucking stand is like, don't chew somebody's ass. People, one, make mistakes. Two, nobody's perfect. This job's filled like, but I live by the quote that I came up with before I said this is, you want to be so good that when you make a mistake, you can recover on yourself so fast that people think that it's just a walk in the park for you. You know? And when I tell somebody, I'm like, hey, look, I'm not about to be a dick when I say this, but listen. To me, I think that's how I've made it a better delivery. And also, I use that to help navigate. Like, do I got a seat filler or do I have a go-getter? Because a fucking go-getter, they're going to lean forward into the conversation and they're going to say, all right, like, what is it? A seat filler, 30 seconds into you saying what you're going to say is immediately going to cut you off and start getting super defensive and shit like that. Some other points that I think that it comes down to besides pride and passion, I think it's accountability. When I've taught classes before, I'm very open and honest. Like I've fucked up. Coming out of the academy, I was scared of the three biggest things I was scared of is forcing doors, cutting cars, and throwing ladders. And that is a lot of what I teach is forcing doors and throwing ladders these days, you know, and engine company operations, special operations related things, airbags, different stuff like that. You know, all this shit that massively intimidated me on the job. And now it's like I'm just a fucking nerd in a cyber room or whatever you want to call it. Like, it just, I just look at things from such a strong, complexual level. And I've realized that it's like the accountability side of things is like, am I accountable to myself? Because yes, I take the time to understand the information, but is that person that doesn't like to go into the deep level of it that I do, are they wrong? And I've started to realize no, because I look at it this way of like, all right, if they can do the task, they can accomplish the task. They understand at least the important factors of it. Like, all right, I need to put the airbag on top of a 4x4. I can't just lift it off the fucking dirt. You know, that's a special instant situation of if I have to do that. The accountability part's checked for me. It's not a question of their passion. It's not a question of their pride or anything like that. They just don't get into the deep level that I do. But for me, the level I am and the way that my brain operates, I do hold a deep level of accountability to myself. Where I consistently hold the accountability is, does that guy get up after breakfast and does he do his chores to the full level of his like capability? Like, is every single person doing their job?
I think trying to figure out the best way to say this. I think if you have that accountability like that, I think another big thing to have to be able to share that accountability with others is approachability. So
That's really good.
If I know I can hold myself accountable, and we've talked about this before, I'm always willing to meet anyone where they are, whether it's in their training, whether it's fitness, whether it's life advice, whatever it may be. I mean, I'll always give you the best I can give you. You know, if I don't have the answer, if I don't have the solution, I'll find one for you. But I can't hold them to that same accountability that I feel like I have if I don't have that approachability for them to come to me and have that conversation to sit down and figure that out and talk about those things. If that makes sense.
It's true. I think that's something that every single one of us, all three of us right now, probably struggle with.
Absolutely.
Because we do carry such a high level of standard for ourselves and those around us that sometimes the approachability can be turned into intimidation.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of sometimes my struggle that I have, like, I don't think there's anyone that outwardly hates me within my organization, right? But there are probably some people that they do probably struggle with the intimidation factor. And a lot of it too is like the three of us, I say the three of us, for me personally, I'm going to just speak directly to me, is that I'm a really weird book to read in the beginning. Because I do have a lot of passion, a lot of energy. So I give you what it is on the front side. And my battalion chief says it best, is like, a lot of people prejudge you, but then when they sit down and they know you, their whole entire dynamic changes.
Well, that's the thing. Is it always intimidation, or is it their own limitations?
I think, and I do. I agree. I think it's their own limitations. That they see somebody that's like really, I hate to say it this way, but someone who's squared away in their job, that knows their shit left and right, and is not scared to stand up for what's right. And they're like, whoa, that guy is a fucking caution to the wind kind of person. But I think it goes down to their own limitations. Will, you've been quiet for a while. Let's hear it.
No, you guys are hitting spot on. I've been listening and learning myself. Kind of something I was thinking of a minute ago when you're talking about teaching other people, and maybe they have a different way of doing stuff. If I could kind of take that and say something slightly different about it, but something I was thinking of a minute ago. I think when it comes to us as teachers, instructors, leaders, it really comes to be important of understanding that not everybody's going to think of something the same way that I am, or not everybody looks at stuff, views a certain topic or a certain skill in the same way that I do. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody analyzes things differently within their brains. Does it make the way somebody else does it make the way that somebody else looks at it wrong? Not necessarily, as long as it's safe, effective, and gets the job done in a quick manner. They can teach me something, and I think that comes back to a humility aspect as someone who is, as a leader, as a teacher, or anything of that, is you have to be humble enough and self-aware enough to realize I don't know everything, and that you can learn. You could be a 20-year guy that is the most certified, most knowledgeable person in your department, and there could be something that a day one guy comes in and teaches you, but you have to be humble enough to accept that from that person. And that kind of, I think that ties into the approachability aspect of it as well. You got to be, yes, we know our stuff. Yes, we we understand the topics at a high level because we've practiced them numerous times and analyzed them from various aspects, but you have to be humble enough to be able to be approached by somebody that may have less experience or may have another idea of how to do something, and let them explain it to you and see what they have to say. You might learn something, or you might be able to provide a way of explaining it to them that it clarifies something for them if they don't understand. But you really, like, I guess I kind of lost my train of thought for a second, but I was kind of just going with, like, you can learn something from everybody, and don't be closed to the idea of learning something from a new guy, from a guy with more experience. Like, everybody looks at things differently.
I think one of the greatest. Let me take that sentence back. I was right. I think one of the greatest struggles for an officer is an officer, senior fireman, whatever it may
Letting
be,
your guys
is humility. Well, it's letting your guys thrive, but it's keeping humility and doing it.
Yeah.
Because what does everyone that's an officer have? The person comes to them for the answer, right? And if that dude doesn't know the answer, that person goes two ways. They're like, oh, maybe he's never encountered this before. Let's all figure it out together. Or, what the fuck, this guy doesn't know his job?
Yeah, and that definitely comes back to that humility side of it, is be able to admit when you're wrong and you don't know. Like, I've told the guys that I work with 100 times, or anybody that I've taught anything, I tell them, like, listen, I want to teach you everything that I know. That way you can be as equally have as the equal amount of knowledge that I have in this topic. It's not all the knowledge, because I don't know everything, and you got to be willing to admit that if the moment you think you know everything in the fire service is the moment you're freaking dead wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll admit to them, like, hey, I don't know everything, but I'm going to teach you everything that I know. If you come to me with a question that I don't know the answer to, we're going to go find the person who does know the answer together, so both of us can learn. You got to be willing to admit, like, because I've seen this with officers in certain capacities, and it's infuriating, to be honest. Is when they don't know something, they make up some bullshit ass answer, and or look at somebody and it's like, oh, what, that exact thing. What do you mean you don't know your job? Well, it's not that they don't know their job. You don't understand your own job well enough to be able to answer their question, or be humble enough to go and find somebody who does have the answer.
I think you could end up down a big rabbit hole with that.
Yeah.
If you, because I mean, dude, that's a good point, Max. You got, like you said, if somebody comes to ask you a question and you throw some shit off the head because your pride hurts too bad to feel like you should know that answer, people are going to respect you a lot more if you say, man, I don't know. but I'll get you an answer. Just like what you were saying earlier, Justin. 1 second. That's all it takes. Because you tell that guy something wrong, he goes back and maybe it's 2 years later, he ends up teaching that. He finds out it's completely wrong. They're going to be like, where'd you learn that? Oh, well, I learned that from Dylan. Then who they look at? They look at me. There goes my rep. Now I lost the trust from this guy because I embarrassed him. I made him look like an idiot because I couldn't put my own pride to the side.
You know, my lieutenant always makes the comment. He says the number one problem in the fire service is nobody can put their egos aside. I think, and I challenge his thought on that. I think there's a level of ego is good for the fire department, because if I have a level of ego, Max has a level of ego, Dylan, you got a level of ego. It consistently is just going to keep pushing all three of us to be better.
Absolutely,
right? Because like, all right, you know, I can't let Max feel like he's winning this ride right now, and then Max can't feel like I'm winning this ride right now, you know. And then here you are, Dylan. You're like, well, fuck these two guys. Neither one of them's gonna win this ride, you know. There's a strong level of ego for each one.
Well, that's if you use your ego in the right way. Are you going to use your ego for accountability, or are you going to use your ego for your own pride and well-being? You know what I mean?
That's
exactly
very true. But also, there's in the fire service that ego can also transverse into narcissism.
Right.
And I think go off of Max's point that an officer that just fires an answer off the hip that's dog-ass wrong, that's just his narcissistic tendencies standing up for, I always know what's right. I'm always going to give you the right answer. I'm your officer. I can't fucking stand it. I hate it. Like, it is so easy to pick out, dude, because, like, they'll just, like, they sit there for a second and then they're just like, and you're like, what? Like, they think there's officers in this job that just think like we can't decipher bullshit as it's coming out of their mouth, you know? And I'm like, dude, what? Dude, that's fucking dog wrong. Like, why would you say that? That doesn't even make sense, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and sometimes I say this lightly. Sometimes it's not even worth highlighting. Like, it's not even worth telling them, like, dude, that was so stupid. Like, what the fuck was that? It's not even worth telling them that. Because then you just go into this circle merry-go-round or the rabbit hole, as you said, Dylan. Like,
well, I think
you're never going to...
I think guys like that, you know, it depends on, like, what they're kind of known for thing, I guess. Because if they're doing stuff like that all the time, man, and I know that y'all are the same way as I am, and I mean, I live in the county I work for. Like, I want everybody to be damn good at their job, and I want them to have the right knowledge and know the right things, right? So if I got a guy over here that's spitting out a bunch of BS, I mean, I might get to the point where it'll be like, look, man, like, make sure you're telling these guys the right things so they don't go, you know, get themselves killed or somebody else killed or teaching the wrong thing. And, you know, now we're having to backtrack from progress we've made because you're worried about your ego or your ego getting hurt. Like, so
Exactly.
Not disagreeing with you, just kind of a different.
No, professional call outs are extremely important. I shouldn't say I don't, because I've done it. But as I've gotten older, I've started to understand you just can't off the fucking hip call somebody out on social media or, you know, like you can't just go comment on someone's post like, this is ridiculous. But I will not be scared to send a private message of like, hey, man, I'm not sure where you are, what you guys do of operation. But just coming from a guy who's got some time on the job, I don't know everything, but I've not just unpacking what you put. I'm not going to say this is very effective, but I'm going to say for what you're trying to say, it's ineffective.
There's a way to go about it and a time and a place. Absolutely.
And I think back to saying like sometimes it's not worth dealing with is like those narcissistic or like those very ego-driven officers, they're not worth the fight in the moment, you know, because you're not gonna, it doesn't matter how right you are. You could have in a room full of people and they're like, yeah, Justin's right, Dylan's right, William's right. And that guy's just not gonna fucking believe it. He ain't gonna care, you know? But there is a time where like when it's a private one-on-one setting and you say, look, dude, I got to get this shit off my chest. And you guys take rank away from it, and it's just a man-to-man conversation, that is when you're going to get to it. Because if you say, hey, look, I need to take rank off the table, it needs to be a man-to-man conversation, and they agree to that, that's you being able to let another man know what you... But again, you still got to be politically correct.
Right.
You know, you do, because you are at work.
And it might not always go
But
over well either. I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. Some guys you ain't even gonna be able to approach.
Yeah.
You know that, like, I hate to say it, dude. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but I've met guys that, I'm sorry, lost causes. Like, I just lost cause.
It goes
Yeah.
life, like you
It's
said.
exhausting,
Like,
man.
If I meet you at the point where I just realize you're a lost cause, I'm not gonna, like, I hate to
Right.
say that, I'm not gonna waste my fucking time.
Lead a horse to water, can't make it drink.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. All right, so kind of rounding this out a little bit, guys. You know, we've been going at it for a while. New thing I kind of started with my last guest. 3 things. I'm gonna be neutral in this. So Dylan, you give 1. Max, you give 1. So we'll go 2 things. 2 things that you want to leave the viewers with. Whether it be motivational, life inspiration, whatever it may be, job related. And then also whoever at the end of it wants to round it out, give out all your social media information, a website if you got it, all that stuff. But go ahead, take it off, whoever wants it.
Go for
Not
it.
everybody at once.
So what?
Dylan, you go
I think
first.
it's connection.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah, you go
I'm
first.
good. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear?
Yeah, you said leave 2 things to leave people with, right?
Yeah. I did, because it was really blurry over there, so I didn't know if I lost you.
No. Yeah, I got some crappy connection out here. 2 things. Should have looked up some motivational quotes beforehand. I'd say ones that I kind of...
I guess. Here, I'll give you.
Go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was gonna give you a couple seconds to think. I guess a couple things that I would say just to walk away from it, just in general. Like, it's not necessarily this ain't life, or this ain't necessarily fire service, just in life in general. I mean, if you're going to do something, do everything with the integrity that at the end of the day you can go to bed with a clear conscience, knowing you did the right thing. That's the way I try to live. And not saying I'm always going to be able to do the right thing, because you're not. We're human. We make mistakes. But as long as you gave everything 100%, gave everything the best effort you could, and you did your best to do right by other people and do the right thing, you can go to bed at night with a clear conscience, knowing you did everything within your power, even if it didn't go quite the right way.
That's awesome. I love that. Dylan, what's your 1 point?
It's kind of similar to that, man. It's honestly just staying real to yourself. Don't give a shit what other people think. Do what's best for you. Stay real to yourself, and whether it's business, firefighting, whatever, do what you want to do. And like Maxwell said, do what you know is right, that you feel is right.
Yeah, I agree. I said I was going to be neutral, but actually, you guys just kind of popped a quote in my head that I wanted to share. Head down, eyes up. I was prepping for a race, and while I was going through it, I was logging a lot of really long miles and a lot of really cold weather in the middle of the early mornings, and a lot of chatter. When I say chatter, just a lot of shit went through my brain. Like, why the fuck are we doing this in the first place was always the question, you know? And I just came up and I said, head down, eyes up. So I want to leave you guys with that is head down, eyes up, you know, head down, ignore the haters, head down, ignore the naysayers, and head down, just to the pavement. Keep moving forward. Eyes up to be able to see the goals and the directions and the inspiration that you guys have that you can pour into people. Keep your eyes up and keep locked on that. So keep your head down, avoid all the other shit. Keep your eyes up and go through all the good shit, man. I'm really proud of both of you guys. You guys are doing the right thing. And you just don't stop. Keep it going. You guys seem like really good, strong men. And I think that's good. William, I saw that you had a ring on, so I'm sure your wife's very thankful to have a man like you in your life. And a Dylan, if you have a significant other, you're a great example. And just remember, at the end of the day, you know, this year I really decided that I was going to pour a lot more into my faith this year. So I definitely want to leave you guys both with this. Just remember everything you do to glorify the bigger.
Right.
You know, we're definitely here for a bigger reason, a bigger purpose. Obviously, God put us in this position to be what we are. So we want to make sure that every workout we do, we suffer for Him. Every bit of information that we give in the right delivery, because it's going to better suit somebody to be able to glorify Him in what they do in their jobs.
That's right.
So rounding it out, they can find you on Instagram at the Unmasked Fireman. You guys got a Facebook page?
Not as present on it, but we do. We're still working on that.
Yeah, it's there. It's just kind of.
We're not the most technically inclined.
It's okay. Neither am I. Neither am I. I just normally, rather than editing, sometimes I just hit submit because it's just easier.
Hey,
I'm like, fuck it.
Easy way to go. Like you said, it gets to be a full-time job, man. So
It does. But all right, fellas. Well, I appreciate everything. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Dylan, you stay safe out there, man. And you guys keep it right, and let's keep in contact. And if you guys ever want back on here, all you got to do is just ask, man. The platform's always open. Freedom's always open. If you guys got anything in the works that you'd love to have me on and bring some mindset into, I'm always open to, baby. Calendar's wide, free. So
for sure.
Keep a check out.
Appreciate it, man.
You guys will probably be a solid hit. So just keep a lookout. When it's up, it's up. And then we'll be back next week, everybody, for another episode. And we've got Kyle Traxler, former military operative and current fireman himself. So, it'll be pretty awesome. But thanks again, brothers. I appreciate it, man. You guys have a great one.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. See you.